Imagine standing in a packed stadium with 80,000 fans, the air electric with anticipation, when suddenly, an unexpected and chaotic moment unfolds on stage. What would you do if a backup dancer, clearly intoxicated, boldly challenged the king of pop himself to a dance battle in front of the entire world? This is not just a story about a concert, it's a tale of friendship, leadership, and grace under pressure that has never been fully told, until now. Stay with me, because the ending will surprise you. On July 16, 1989, Wembley Stadium in London was buzzing with excitement. The Bad World Tour was in full swing, and Michael Jackson was at the height of his powers, delivering performances that would go down in history. But behind the scenes, tensions were simmering, and no one could have predicted the unforgettable moment that was about to unfold on that stage. The story begins 3 weeks earlier in Paris, where Lavelle Smith Jr., one of Michael's most talented backup dancers, started showing signs of trouble. Lavelle wasn't just any dancer, he was handpicked by Michael himself for his exceptional skill and stage presence. He had earned Michael's trust through months of flawless performances, becoming a vital part of the tour's success. But something had changed. Lavelle began drinking heavily after shows, a behavior that initially seemed like typical tour stress relief. However, his mood darkened. He grew bitter and angry, expressing frustration about being overshadowed by Michael and feeling unrecognized despite his talent. He wanted to prove he was just as good as the king of pop. Michael, known for his kindness and protective nature toward his dancers, tried to reach out. He pulled Lavelle aside for private talks, hoping to help his friend through whatever was troubling him, but Lavelle's downward spiral only deepened. During rehearsals in Munich, Lavelle started improvising moves that weren't part of the choreography. He extended his solos, sometimes dancing for an extra 30 seconds while Michael waited patiently. The other dancers were uneasy, but Michael kept giving Lavelle chances, believing in his friend's potential to overcome his struggles. By the time the tour reached London, Lavelle was barely holding it together. The night before the Wembley show, hotel staff found him drunk in the lobby bar at 4 a.m., ranting about being tired of dancing in someone else's shadow. Security had to escort him back to his room, but not before he made a chilling promise. Tomorrow night, everyone's going to see who the real dancer is. What happened next was a moment that could have destroyed a career, ended a show, and embarrassed a legend. Instead, it became one of the most iconic, unscripted moments in concert history. How did Michael Jackson turn a potential disaster into a breathtaking display of artistry and compassion? Keep watching to find out. July 16th arrived with typical London weather, gray skies, and a light drizzle that seemed to mirror the uneasy mood backstage. During the afternoon soundcheck, Lavelle appeared calmer but carried an unsettling confidence. He performed his parts perfectly, but those who knew him sensed he was planning something. Michael noticed it too. Quincy Jones, attending the show as a special guest, later recalled seeing Michael approach Lavelle during the break between soundcheck and the show. Their conversation was brief but intense, with Michael placing a reassuring hand on Lavelle's shoulder. Final attempt to connect with his troubled friend, Lavelle nodded and smiled, but it was a smile that didn't reach his eyes. By 8 p.m., Wembley Stadium was packed with 80,000 fans, all eager to witness Michael Jackson's legendary performance. The show began flawlessly. Michael delivered hit after hit, from Wanna Be Startin', Something to The Way You Make Me Feel, captivating the crowd with his unmatched energy and precision. But during Human Nature, something felt off. Lavelle was supposed to exit the stage during this solo moment, but instead, he lingered in the wings, watching Michael with an intensity that made the other dancers uneasy. Karen Faye, Michael's longtime makeup artist, later said she felt a chill watching Lavelle's expression that night. Then came Billie Jean, the pinnacle of the show. The opening bass line sent the crowd into a frenzy as Michael launched into his iconic routine. The backup dancers took their places, executing the choreography they had rehearsed countless times, but Lavelle wasn't where he was supposed to be. Instead of standing stage left, he was moving towards center stage, Michael's spotlight. At first, the audience thought it was part of the show. Michael was known for spontaneous moments and playful interactions with his dancers, but those watching closely could see something was wrong. Lavelle was stumbling slightly, his movements unsteady but determined. He had been drinking heavily before the show, sneaking alcohol from a bottle hidden in his dressing room. When Lavelle stepped onto the stage, it was clear he was on a mission to prove himself in front of 80,000 people and a global television audience. During the second verse, as Michael performed his legendary spins and kicks, Lavelle suddenly stepped directly into his path. The crowd gasped as Lavelle began dancing aggressively, not in support of Michael's performance, but as a challenge. For a few seconds, Michael seemed confused. He tried to continue his routine, working around Lavelle's unexpected presence, but Lavelle wasn't backing down. He matched every move Michael made, adding his own flourishes, trying to outshine the star he was supposed to be supporting. The other dancers froze, unsure whether to intervene or keep performing. Then Michael Jackson did something extraordinary. Instead of calling security or stopping the show, he smiled. He looked at Lavelle, then at the stunned crowd, and embraced the challenge. What followed was pure magic. Michael didn't see Lavelle as an adversary. He saw a friend in pain. He turned the confrontation into an impromptu duet, elevating the moment into a breathtaking display of dance. Michael led, Lavelle followed, and together, they created something spontaneous and mesmerizing. The crowd had no idea they were witnessing a crisis transformed into art. Michael spun. Lavelle copied, but added a jump. Michael kicked, Lavelle kicked higher. What could have been a disaster became a celebration of dance itself. But Michael's brilliance went beyond performance. By embracing Lavelle's challenge, he gave his friend the recognition he desperately sought, while maintaining control of the show. It was an act of compassion disguised as entertainment. As the song reached its climax, Michael executed a perfect moonwalk, sliding backward while maintaining eye contact with Lavelle. It was a clear message. This was still Michael's show, but Lavelle had been heard. Lavelle stopped dancing, took a bow, and walked off stage to thunderous applause. The crowd erupted, sensing they had witnessed something rare and unrehearsed, something that could never be replicated. Backstage, chaos reigned. Tour managers were furious, security confused about why they hadn't been called to remove Lavelle, and the other dancers were in shock. But Michael remained calm. He found Lavelle in his dressing room and sat down beside him. They talked for hours. Well past midnight. No one knows exactly what Michael said that night, but the change was immediate. Lavelle never drank before a show. Again, he became one of Michael's most loyal and professional dancers, staying with him for the rest of the bad tours and beyond. Years later, Lavelle would say that Michael's response saved not just his career, but his life. The footage of that night became legendary among fans, though the full story remained untold for decades. Bootleg recordings circulated, sparking debates about whether the duet was planned or spontaneous. Michael never publicly discussed the incident, protecting Lavelle's privacy even as speculation grew. What made Michael's response so remarkable wasn't just his dance skills, it was his emotional intelligence and leadership under pressure. In a moment when many would have panicked or called security, Michael transformed a crisis into a masterpiece. He saw a friend crying out for recognition and found a way to give it to him without ruining the show or embarrassing anyone. The other dancers never forgot that night. They witnessed their leader handle an impossible situation with grace, creativity, and compassion. It became a defining moment for the entire tour, proving Michael Jackson was more than an incredible performer, he was an extraordinary human being. This incident also shed light on the intense pressure backup dancers faced on Michael's tours. Performing alongside the greatest entertainer in history often left them feeling invisible despite their vital contributions. Michael's response led to changes in how he treated his dancers, ensuring they felt valued and recognized. Lavelle Smith Jr. went on to become one of the most respected choreographers and dancers in the industry, working with stars like Janet Jackson and Usher, but he never forgot the night. Michael Jackson could have ended his career with a single word to security and instead chose to save it with understanding and grace. The 19th Wembley performance remains one of the most bootlegged concerts in history, partly because of this legendary unscripted moment. Fans still talk about the electricity in the air and the sense that they witnessed something truly unique. Many say it was the greatest live performance they ever saw, not just for Michael's artistry, but for his spontaneous humanity. This story isn't just about a concert or a dance battle. It's a powerful lesson in leadership, empathy, and turning adversity into opportunity. Michael Jackson didn't just prove he was the king of pop that night, he showed the world what true greatness really means. If this story moved you, don't